Happy day! Myself Dr. Kamala Priya from Department of Mathematics, and today I am going to teach a topic on modern algebra, that is group theory. Before we go into the definition of group theory itself, we'll learn certain definitions that will help us understand group theory better. The first definition is set. A set is a collection of distinct well-defined objects. We'll rubricate the words in this one. So, collection of distinct objects. So, we are going to collect a set of elements which are going to be distinct. The most important word is well-defined. What do you mean by well-defined? So, well-defined is if I ask a person to classify or select a set of people who are beautiful in the class, it is not a well-defined word. Why? Because beauty differs for people. So, if I can tell that we are collecting a set of fruits, it's going to be universal, wherein apple is universally known by everybody. Here I have given an example as set of fruits, where we have the set of distinct fruits like apple, cherry, banana. Those are going to be the well-defined objects and we are collecting it and making it as a set. Each element that is being represented here are put under the curly braces to represent the set. So, the next definition that we are going to see is relation. In order to define a relation, we need two sets. Here we have taken two sets to be A and B. Relation is nothing but the collection of set of all ordered pairs A, B that comprises of relation. So, the next definition that we are going to see is function. In order to define a function, we need two sets A and B. The function is represented by f. F is from A to B. That means that if I take an element from A operated on the function, the resulting element will be on the set B. So, now I am going to give the definition of a group. In order to define a group, we need a set and a binary operation. So, what we mean by a binary operation? So, binary, we have two elements that is being operated. The basic binary operations that we have is arithmetic operation. Those are addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. But we majorly consider only two binary operations, that is addition and multiplication. Why? Because subtraction can be represented in the form of an addition. So, if it is A minus B, I can represent that as A plus of minus B. If it is division A by B, it can be represented in the form of a multiplication, that is A into B. So, we need to consider a set. The set considered here is G and a binary operation. The binary operation we have here is multiplication. And if we have a set and a binary operation and if it satisfies the four axioms, we call that to be a group. So, we will go through the axioms one by one. So, the first axiom is closure. So, in order to say that the set is closed, we need to take two elements. Here we are taking two elements A and B. So, if we operate A into B, the resulting element should also be there in the set. The next axiom is associativity. In order to define the associativity, we need to have three elements A, B and C. First we multiply A and B, the resulting element is being multiplied with the C. And similarly, we will multiply B and C first and the resulting element will be multiplied with A. If these both are equal, we call that it is associative. So, the next axiom that we are going to see is identity element. So, this axiom is very important. Whenever we take a set, there should exist an identity element. In general, for multiplication, the identity element is going to be 1. What is this identity element? If I take any element from the set and if I operate with the identity element, I should get back the same element. When it comes to the addition, the general identity element is going to be 0. The next axiom that we are going to check is inverse element. For every element that we take, there should exist an inverse element. So, if I am considering an element A, the inverse of that element is given by A inverse. If we multiply the element and the inverse, we will get the identity element. So, with a set in a binary operation, satisfying all these four axioms are called as group. Now, we are going to see an example for a group. Here, I have considered a set of all integers, wherein in line we will have 0, on positive side it is going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 and on negative side it will take minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. So, this is the set that I have considered and the operation that I am going to consider here is addition. So, we will check if this set with the binary operation addition frames a group. So we'll go for the axioms one by one. So the first axiom is closure. In order to prove closure, we need to take two elements. For example, I'm going to take two elements 0 and 1. So if I add 0 and 1, I'll get 1, which again is there in the set. Hence, this set is closed under addition. The next axiom is associativity. Here we are going to take three elements 0, 1 and 2. So if I add 0 and 1, the resulting element will be 1, and if I add again that with 2, I'll get 3. Similarly, if I add 1 and 2, the resulting element will be 3, and if I add it with 0, I'll get again 3. Hence, it satisfies the associative property. The next axiom that we are going to check is identity. So the general identity element for addition is 0. So whenever we add any element to 0, we'll get the same element. It can be any element. For example, if you are going to take 4, 4 plus 0 will result in 4. Or if you are going to take negative of 3 plus 0 will also result in negative of 3. The next one is inverse. In addition, the inverse of element is going to be the negative of the element. If we are going to take 1, the inverse of 1 will be negative of 1. So 1 minus of 1 will be 0. 0 is nothing but the identity element. Hence, the set of all integers under the binary operation addition will frame a group. Next, I would like to give you a set of questions that you can check whether it is going to be a group or not. The first question is set of all natural numbers under addition. Next, we have even set of integers with addition, and the next one is non-zero real numbers with multiplication. Now we move on to the next definition, subgroup. When do we call a set as a subgroup? In order to define a subgroup, first we need to define a group. So here we have already defined a group, set of all integers with addition. So when we take a subset from the group, and if that subset satisfies the three axioms of closure, identity and inverse, we can call that subset to be a subgroup. So we will see an example for that one. So we already saw an example wherein set of all integers under addition framed a group. In that group, I am going to consider a subset. The subset is nothing but the set of all even integers. Now we will check that if this set of all even integers forms a subgroup. So the three axioms that we need to check is closure, identity and inverse. So in order to check the closure, we will take two elements. So if it's going to be 2 and 4, if I add 2 and 4, the resulting value is 6, which again is there in the subset. So it is closed under addition. The next one is identity element. Identity element under addition is generally going to be 0. We need to check if 0 belongs to this set. Yes, 0 belongs to the set of all even integers. The next one is inverse. So inverse in addition is nothing but the element's negative value. So if I am going to take 2, the negative value is minus 2, which again is there in this set, and hence we can call the set of all even integers form a subgroup under addition. Next, we are going to see the types of group. We have already seen a subgroup. A subset which forms a group is called as a subgroup. If we take an element and that particular element generates the entire group, we call that to be a cyclic group. And there is a property called commutativity. If under addition, commutativity is nothing but A plus B is equal to B plus A. If a group satisfies this property, we call that group to be abelian. If it doesn't satisfy the commutative property, we call that group to be a non-abelian group. And the group is again classified with the size of elements as finite and infinite group. If the number of elements are going to be finite, we call that to be a finite group. And if the number of elements is infinite, we call that to be an infinite group. Next, we will look into some of the applications of group theory in various fields. When it comes to physics, in quantum mechanics, the symmetric property of group theory is being implemented. So the molecular symmetry is utilized in chemistry to do the crystallography. When it comes to cryptography, the elliptical curve also uses the symmetric property. In computer application, group theory is utilized in error decoding and algorithm framing. In this video, we have seen the basic definitions of group theory. In upcoming module, we will look into the properties and theorems of group theory. To watch more such videos, like, share, subscribe to the MOP Classroom. Thank you.